Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We are from group
11.
My name is Siti Rinita Maharani.
My name is Hoiria Salsabila.
So we are here going to discuss about the next chapter of the history of Britain. The title is
England and her neighbors.
So let's begin.
So the first is the new foreign policy. During the Tudor period, British foreign policy went through various changes, but by the end, England established some fundamental principles. Henry VII maintained friendly relations with neighbor countries, while Henry VII aimed to play a significant role in European politics but failed. Mary's alliance with Spain through marriage proved unpopular and politically unwise. Elizabeth and her advisors prioritized trade as the most important foreign policy issue. As did Henry VII, they recognized Spain as the main trade rival and enemy. Elizabeth supported Dutch Protestants against Spanish rule by allowing their ships to use English ports. English privateers attacked Spanish ships returning from America due to Spain's refusal to allow free trade. Philip of Spain attempted to conquer England in 1587 and 1588 with the Spanish Armada, but the Elizabeth fleet, led by Francis Drake, destroyed part of the Armada, and bad weather further weakened the Spanish fleet. Although England achieved a glorious victory, the war with Spain continued until peace was finally settled. The second is the new trading empire. During Elizabeth's reign, two key policies were established and followed both before and after the Armada. First, she encouraged English sailors like John Hawkins and Francis Drake to attack and destroy Spanish ships carrying valuable resources from the Americas. Second, she promoted English merchants to establish colonies abroad, which ultimately led to the British colonial empire in the following centuries. The first English colonists embarked for America and attempted to establish a profitable tobacco colony in Virginia. Additionally, England began profiting from the sale of West African slaves to the Spanish in America, with Bristol becoming especially wealthy. This overseas trade growth was not entirely new, as numerous chartered companies has been established before Elizabeth's reign, including the East India Company. The British attempted to enter the lucrative spice trade in the East Indies, which was monopolized by the Dutch, leading to trade rivalry and three wars between England and the Netherlands in the 17th century. The third is Wales. During the Tudor era, the English monarchy aimed to gain control over Wales, Ireland, and Scotland. Henry VII, who had Wales heritage, used the Red Dragon of Wales as his flag at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485, and named his eldest son Arthur to capitalize on the popular interest in Arthurian legends. However, Arthur died early, and Henry's second son, Henry VIII, focused on consolidating his power and converting the Welsh people into English subjects. One way they achieved this was by pressuring them to adopt English naming conventions and preventing Welsh names from use on official documents. By 1750, the use of Welsh names had nearly disappeared. Additionally, between 15 1536 and 1543, Wales joined England under one government, and English law replaced Welsh law. Welsh nobility became part of the English ruling government, and the Welsh language was gradually suppressed, with English becoming the only official language. However, Wales survived through the printing of the Bible in Wales, and Welsh culture persevered through the tradition of Eisteddfods, gatherings of poets and singers that continue to this day. The fourth is Ireland. During the reign of Henry VIII, England sought to bring Ireland under its rule, similar to what had been done with Wales. While Henry succeeded in getting the Irish Parliament to recognize him as King of Ireland, his attempt to enforce the Church of England Reformation was met with resistance. The powerful Irish aristocracy, unlike their English counterparts, relied heavily on the monasteries and the church for economic and social stability, and refused to participate in the dissolution. Henry's failure to control Ireland led to the unification of Irish nationalism and Catholicism against English rule. Elizabeth I faced a major rebellion in Ireland in 1580, supported by Spanish and French armies, which resulted in harsh treatment of the Irish population by English soldiers. The Tudors fought for wars in an effort to impose their authority and religion, ultimately destroying the Gaelic way of life in introducing English rule. The colonization of Ireland, particularly in Ulster, by Protestant settlers led to a division of land ownership along religious lines and sowed the seeds for later conflict between Protestant and Catholics in the 20th century.
So the next is Scotland and England. Scottish king tried to establish the centralized monarchy like the Tudors in England, but faced challenges due to a weaker economy and lawlessness. They made effort to control border conflict and Highland clans. While avoiding war with England, the Battle of Flodden and Protestant Reformation further complicated the situation. Henry VIII aimed to merge the two countries through marriage, but the Scots resisted and sent Mary to France instead. Next is Mary Queen of Scots and the Scottish Reformation. Mary, Queen of Scots, returned to Scotland in 1561, as a widow and Catholic ruler in a country that had transitioned to Protestantism during her time in France. Scottish nobles who favored a friendship with England embraced Protestantism for political and economic reasons, ensuring closer ties with England. Scottish king profited from the wealth of the church in Scotland, while the new Scottish Kirk, being more democratic than the Church of England, emphasized personal conviction, Bible study, and education. Protestantism spread rapidly through Scotland universities, strengthening ties with universities in Germany and Scandinavia. The Kirk did not approve of Mary and her friends' Catholicism, but she made it clear that she would not attempt to restore Catholicism. Despite her poor judgment, such as marrying Lord Darnley and then his mother Bothwell, Mary's behavior damaged her change of inheriting the English throne. especially since she engaged in war with Scottish opponents. After being captured and imprisoned, Mary escaped to England in 1568, where Elizabeth held her for 19 years before ultimately executing her. Next, Scottish King for England. Mary's son, James VI, took the throne at a young age and showed promise as a ruler. He knew that if he acted appropriately, he could become the next monarch of England after Queen Elizabeth. James was also aware of the Catholic alliance between Spain and France, which posed a potential threat to England. Therefore, he had to maintain friendly relations with his Catholic counterparts while remaining an ally of Protestant England. Despite later perception of James as weak and indecisive, he initially proved to be a capable and diplomatic leader when he became King of Scotland. He successfully re-established the authority of the Scottish crown, bringing the Catholic and Protestant nobles and the Kirk under royal control. James' greatest achievement came when he was chosen as Elizabeth's successor in 1603. This was no small feat, considering the doubts some had about his suitability as a Protestant ruler and the general reluctance to accept a Scottish king in England. The fact that leading English statesmen support James' ascension indicates their confidence in his abilities. So that's all from us. Thank you for watching and listening until the end of the video.
Thank you and bye-bye.